Okay, welcome inside another edition of the 360 Sports Show. I'm Andy Pezzelli, joined by Christian Lawber. The format for the show, we lead with the biggest sports stories of the week, then we talk about the local stories here in New England, and then any other leftover thoughts from around the wide world of sports. Anything is on the table, and that is fueled by your questions, comments, concerns, just general complaints. You can contact the show by emailing the 360 Sports Show at gmail.com. You can also hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at 360 Sports Show. We are all over the place, continually growing. And you can subscribe to the podcast through SoundCloud or through iTunes, Google Play, anywhere where podcasts can be found. You can find us. And Christian, I'd say there's some more newsworthy stories, but I think I want to lead today's episode with All-Star Weekend. The All-Star Game has not happened yet, but we had a couple, some of the bigger parts of the weekend happened. You know, the game itself is kind of usually just a dud because it's just nobody plays defense. So it's all about the supplemental things. And I think it's been an exciting All-Star Weekend for the NBA.
Yeah, pretty good. I kind of agree with that. The game is going to be, the last couple of years it's improved because the players decided that we're going to turn this into something and we're going to make it a bigger deal kind of thing. And also with the announcement last night, real quick, with the Kobe Bryant MVP award of the All-Star game.
Yes.
Pretty big news. So now, you got to think who's going to win that first one tonight. It's probably going to be a pretty big deal, and everybody's going to be trying at least, I don't know, maybe the first quarter is kind of like throw it up, dunk. Nobody plays defense, but it'll get serious.
Well, I was going to say, we've seen a couple of years ago, guys were lying down on defense because they didn't want, Steph Curry, just lied down on the floor so that he wasn't in the frame of Giannis dunking.
I don't blame him for that one.
I don't blame him at all. Maybe you're right with the MVP award being named after Kobe. Maybe, Kobe wouldn't want you to not, in honor of that, you can't go out there and just not try on defense.
I just feel like everybody now is going to try way harder just so they can win that award because it means something this year. It's kind of like that. They just announced it. It's kind of this big thing. So maybe everybody's going to try now and it's going to be more of a thing. But I do think the first couple days, the Rising Stars and the other stuff is pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love the Rising Stars because I think it's a good opportunity. The way they do it up, they do, the world team and they do the, Team USA. And there's some guys who, are bench players on other teams, that some of these guys from other countries you might not have heard of. Everybody knows about Luka Doncic. But a guy like Shea, I can't even say it. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Tongue twisted on that name. But he's a really good player. He's a solid NBA player and a rising star. But it's a name. It's just because of the name. It's it doesn't flow right off the tongue. So it's hard to say. And some of these guys you don't get to see all the time. And it's cool to see them play against each other. And I loved. Did you see the half court shot that Luka took at the end of the first half?
Trae Young is
and that thing was in the air for forever. So you could have him and Trae Young were just standing next to each other, and then it goes in. He's like, "Ah, are you kidding me?" I mean, that's what All-Star Weekend should be about. These guys are out there having fun and playing a game, and you can see the passion and the joy with these younger guys.
Yeah, and you get to see some guys like Devontae Graham from Charlotte, who's having an excellent year. Guys he came from the G League last year.
Yep.
It's kind of fun. You get to see these younger guys that are, and obviously Ja Morant and Trae Young and all them, they're great. But, Tyler Hero, Zion, of course, he was dunking the ball everywhere. Just kind of the younger guys that you don't maybe pay attention to really, but are having pretty good years.
Yeah, and I'd say out of that, the four guys that stuck out to me, and honestly, kind of down the stretch here, since he's come back, Zion has really impressed, and he impressed in that game as well. Luka, Trae Young, and Ja Morant. I mean, those are the big names. I mean, those are the guys. These are going to be the faces of the NBA in, say, 6 years. 5-6 years. Obviously, there's guys who are in the All-Star game currently that'll still be around. I mean, we'll get into Jason Tatum ascending to superstar status. But it was just a couple of years ago that he was in this game, and so was Jaylen Brown. And so these are the guys that you're going to be looking to. Will they make that next step in ascension?
And not one of them won MVP. Incredible. because Miles Bridges won.
Yeah.
But, so it's kind of just fun. You get to see, like, who would think Miles Bridges is going to win MVP when there's Luka and Trey?
And he had a game. I think he came out of the locker room. He had like a bad first half, and then he threw himself an alley-oop dunk off the backboard.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I've had enough. I need to get myself going. Nothing like an alley-oop just off the backboard to myself.
And he can
a la Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. I actually, this year, I don't know. I like the World versus USA thing a lot better than like rookie sophomores. Kind of just adds a little something else to it where you get more competition. And, there's so many guys from Europe now that are over here playing.
Who have been pro for so long. So it's kind of cool, interesting to see, like, these guys have been pros for a long time. How are they better suited to, like, play together than just throwing all these AAU guys together?
It's true. And, I mean, Luka was, what is he, 19 when he came in the league, I think, a couple of years ago? And just incredible the way, like, so those guys can clearly play, obviously, and like you said, they're going to be the face of the league, but the game is just entertaining and it's fun to watch just because you get all these younger guys that maybe you're like, you don't follow that much, and it's kind of fun.
What did you think about the skills challenge? Jason Tatum, can you say he attempted to defend his crown?
You know what the problem that he had,
showing up as an attempt?
What he said afterwards, which I agree with him, his assessment. Number one, he should have practiced, but number two, his second three after he missed the first one, he took so long, and he was like, I thought Sabonis might miss it, so I took my time. It's like, nah, just shoot it. But, I mean, it's still entertaining. I actually like that they've improved that a little bit in, I don't know, over the last like 3 or 4 years. It's been pretty entertaining. And you know what's crazy? All these big guys are in it. Bam Adebayo wins the thing, and it's like
that's the modern day NBA, man.
He's going against Patrick Beverley. Everybody's picking Beverley to win, and Bam just runs down there and just nails a three first time. So it's just all these bigger guys like Sabonis and Bam, and it's cool to see that how the league is like transformed, and even Tatum is, he's a wing, but he's got the handle, he can pass.
30 years ago, he would have been playing power forward and never shooting the ball outside the paint. He would have, that Kevin McHale move he used the other night would have been his go-to because he would have been posting guys up, every single time down the court.
I know, it's amazing. And so that's kind of the cool aspect of it. Just the guys that they had in there, they're all bigger guys except for Beverly, but it was ultimately Sabonis and Bam. But that's also pretty entertaining. Now, my favorite are the 3-point and the dunk, but the skills is something that, I don't know, it's kind of just fun to watch. It's just supposed to be a fun weekend, entertaining.
Yeah, and what did you? I didn't get to see the 3-point shootout, so take us through what went down in the 3-point shootout.
So I didn't even hear this, but they added a further out shot this year, which was the Mountain Dew something shot.
Of course, it's going to be sponsored.
Yeah, the Mountain Dew 4-point shot. It was like it was 3 points, and it was outside of the arc, angled from the hoop. So you would take the first rack in the corner, then at the arc. Then you step out further and take the Mountain Dew shot, then come to straight away, another Mountain Dew shot, and then the rest of the racks. But again, these guys,
like a wild night, Mountain Dew shots.
Yeah, Mountain Dew shots. Sugar Rush. These guys can, like a lot of them, actually all of them, they just went off. It was like Trae Young was the first guy up, and he I think he went for 15 points, and the next guy comes out. It was like by round 3, the score to beat was like 20. It's just insane. All these guys can just chuck it and shoot from pretty much anywhere. But between Hield and Devin Booker, the last round was awesome. The dunk contest is fun to me, but I like the 3-point contest. I don't know why. I just like seeing guys just absolutely just annihilate this contest because it was like 25. I think it was 26 to beat, and Hield is on his last shot and wins the thing, 27-26. It was just incredible.
Well, because there's that clutch factor of, it's kind of like, being in a game where, okay, I have to make this many. Like, yeah, granted, some of the dunks, there's a clutch factor like, man, I can't like mess this up because I've done all this pomp and circumstance. I better nail this on the first attempt. But with a 3-point shootout, like, you need to hit the shots. Yeah. You miss the shot, it's not like you get another chance.
It's over.
There's time. You have X amount of time to get those shots off, and we've seen some clutch performances. I mean, Larry Bird famously, just didn't even take off his warm-up jacket.
Yeah.
And was looking like he was going to lose, and then just knocked down every single ball on the last rack.
Like in this day and age,
holding the hand up there.
In this day and age, these guys they shoot from anywhere now, so it's fun to see them just go around these racks and there's stretches where they make like 8 or 9 in a row. And
what's crazy is when they miss, though, because you just expect them. There's no defense. These guys should make all of them. I remember Paul Pierce talking about his first year being in it, and then he came back and won it later on. But he talked about how, when he practiced, he didn't practice with the rack. How it's not natural to grab the ball off the rack. You have to work on your timing of shooting and then adjusting, grabbing the next ball. And there's so much that goes into just doing that to win that contest, aside from just being a good 3-point shooter, because it's not how you would normally receive the ball in the game.
And because the first shooter, Trae Young, was first, and he looked almost winded by the 5th rack because these guys.
Well, he has to reach up to get the balls off the top of the rack, right?
That's true. Yeah. He's down there. Yeah, but I would say it's just there's a couple elements, which is which side you want to be on the rack. Some guys were running all the way around, and then guys were just running to the left side of it or right side of it. So there's an element of that. Then you got to pick the ball up, shoot, look down again to grab it, and also it's timed, so you got to go fast. And there's a lot.
But you don't want to rush.
True, and there's a lot of shots out there. So you got 5 of 5, so it's 27 shots with these 2 new ones. So by the end of it, it's kind of almost unnatural to run around racks as fast as you can to shoot the ball. In warm-ups, you're just chilling,
Yeah, just standing there.
Just standing there, lackadaisical, shoot it up.
Last part of the festivities last night, Saturday night, the dunk contest, which I thought the contest again was amazing. Guys showed up. I think there's been some years where the creativity has lacked. And it's just not been either the guys.
There's been some straight duds.
The guys that are in there are just not names. It's fine if there's guys who aren't names if they show up and do something really crazy. There's been years when you had some star-studded dunk contests. Last night, as far as dunkers go, you had some legit dunkers in the contest. But once again, for the second time, Aaron Gordon was absolutely robbed. And it actually infuriates me. And I have a stat. I have a dunk contest stat to read you. Not normally something you would hear, but Aaron Gordon has the most perfect scores in dunk contest history.
Without a
yet
title.
He has not won it. He has 8 perfect scores. Zach LaVine has 7. Michael Jordan has 6. Derek Jones Jr. 6. Jason Richardson 5. Dominique Wilkins 5. And then the list will go on, but how does it happen? I mean, he got absolutely hosed against LaVine a couple years ago. That dunk contest, I think it was the 2016 dunk contest, may have been one of the best dunk contests I've ever seen.
100%. Actually, last night was pretty damn good as well. At least in the final, between Derek Jones Jr. and Gordon. But what I'll say is, supposedly afterwards, the judges were trying to make it a tie. And someone screwed it up, I guess. That's what Common said, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But here's what I'll say. I think Gordon should have won unless they wanted to make a true trophy thing, which normally I'm not for. Last night, those two were just going off, so I would have been fine with it. But there's absolutely no way.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said that in 2016 with LaVine and Gordon. Charles Barkley was just okay, first person to make a 3 wins.
Charles, yeah. Thanks, Charles. I think it's just not good. I don't like it because Gordon either should have won or they both should have gotten something, which I don't usually like. But in this case, I would have been fine with it because both of them were doing some.
Because now Aaron Gordon says he never wants to come back.
He's going to do the 3-point contest. That's what he said. He's going to win that thing or try to win.
But it's that's where you go wrong because what makes the dunk contest great is those guys staying and wanting to do it. So many of the best dunkers in the NBA don't want to do the game because
the guy dunked over Taco Fall.
Yeah.
He's 7'5". And people are saying that he kind of nudged Taco, but
No,
really,
Taco
if you
ducked.
if you look, it's his hands that were on top of his head where the ball was, and he hits his hands with his leg, and Taco kind of falls and ducks. He dunks over a 7'5" guy, and they give him like 3 9s. I'm just like, okay,
and how about
here we
that?
go again.
The dunk before that, he receives the pass off the backboard with one hand, 360 windmills it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even. I'm glad they've gone to allowing the judges to look at the replay, because there's been years when guys do things that are so insane you can't even comprehend it in real time. You have to slow it down and really look at it and be like, that is like Connaughton's. That dunk where he hit it off. He touched the backboard and then dunked it. Real speed. I was like, what did he do? And then
that's what I was gonna. Yeah.
And then Kenny Smith is like, he touched the backboard. He touched the
That's
backboard.
That's a 10. Every dunk after.
Let's go home.
Like, that's a 10.
Let's go home.
That's got to be a 10.
I enjoy that too. Like the guy. I mean, have you ever been to a dunk contest in person?
No.
So I went to Team Flight Brothers came to Endicott when I was there. Matt, who was with us on the show the last 2 episodes, he came up to see them with me, and we may have been a little Isaiah Thomas at that event.
Old Isaiah Thomas.
We'll get into that here in a second. He was hanging out with D Wade. Probably that's what happened with D Wade in the judging.
Just a bit.
But just amazing. Like, it's so much to see guys pull off dunks like that in real time, like up close. You understand the hype, and like I think that's part of the fun too, is watching these other NBA stars. You know, even guys who aren't playing anymore, guys who are legends, like guys like Shaq standing on the sideline with his like iPhone
AT&T cam,
his AT&T cam, in the in the little like selfie stick there. But like seeing those guys all get hyped when a dunk contest is good and the whole place is like electric, you want to preserve that. And if you have a guy like Aaron Gordon who brings that type of energy every time with creativity and just like jaw-dropping dunks, you don't want to lose that guy from you want him to win, and then he's going to have to come back and defend it next year. And then if he loses, he's like, well, okay, well, I'm 1-1 against that guy now. Now I'll come back again. Like,
I just think it takes something out of it. Like, now he's never going to come back, or so he says. So it's just like, I don't know. He should have won 2 years, let's be real. And at least last night they should have tied, because both of them were bringing
unreal things,
creativity and new dunks and just insane athleticism to that thing. And for him to get robbed like that, it's just kind of like a bad look.
And even you could see Jones was like, what?
He's like, what? Did I just win? Oh my God. Everybody else was just like the old Shaq face. I think it was after Vince Carter's dunk. Oh no.
It's like when Macklemore won the Grammy over Kendrick Lamar, and he was like, what?
What just happened?
Kendrick,
Guy dunks over Taco Fall and gets robbed. What? Was that his only not 50 of the night?
I think so.
It might have been, which is absolutely ludicrous.
I think his first dunk his first dunk was like a 48.
Oh, that's true. No, because he got his first 4 dunks were perfect.
Oh no, I'm thinking of, because the first dunk I watched was Dwight Howard's.
Yeah, that wasn't a 50.
That wasn't a 50. No. Well, that's another guy. It's like you can't even appreciate like the 360 he did, where he like just paused in midair and then
the ball.
And you can't. What's amazing is a guy that's that size doing, dunks like that.
I think
that's why he won in the first place to begin with, was because there was never anybody that big doing it. And you can't even appreciate, like, you have to be that big to pull off some of his dunks, so they don't look crazy, because it's not like crazy amounts of spins or between the legs or nothing crazy, but it's insane. Like,
it is, but I don't know. Maybe I just have this thing against Dwight Howard. It wasn't exciting. Like the Superman one was cool because he did it to like the ode to Kobe, but other than that, like, he just, like, it is amazing for what he's doing, but he just doesn't excite me.
I don't know, when he touched the top in 2006, when he touched the top, or 2007, 2006, 2007, I can't remember which year it was. He touched the top of the backboard.
Oh, his first one? Yeah.
His first couple of dunk contests were ridiculous. I still love Gerald Green blowing out the cupcake.
That was good, yeah. Gerald Green was awesome in that year.
Ooh,
yeah.
So we're just coming up with more. We got to keep making up these lists. These would be good. The listener contributions wanted for this. Top 5 dunk contest dunks.
Vince Carter, number 1.
Vince Carter. We're just going Vince. Top 5 jerseys of all time. Vince Carter Raptors jersey. Top 5 dunks. Vince Carter with the Raptors dunk contest.
Top guy to wear the headband. Vince Carter. Now, Vince Carter was that year. I'll never forget. That was an awesome dunk contest, and even a couple of years ago with Gordon and Levine, that was good too. But if I just had to go off the top of my head, I'd say 3 or 4, maybe immediately. Were 2 guys last night, Gordon and Jones Jr. Levine was also awesome, and Vince. And then, add the 5, Gerald Green, Dwight Howard, someone like that.
Nate Robinson.
I forgot about
Nate
him.
the Great.
Came
out in the Kryptonite jersey and dunked over Dwight Howard.
You know why I don't remember that? Because all I remember is him jumping on Big Baby's back and just riding him down the court.
Shrek and Donkey.
Yeah, Shrek and Donkey, yeah.
Last note about All-Star Weekend. Obviously, the game itself is going to happen tonight. So we'll comment on the game next weekend. It will be interesting to see with the game. As you said, do guys go out and treat this like a real game to honor Kobe? Or is it the opposite? Guys are just going to be hucking shots.
Yeah.
It's going to be twice as bad because everybody just wants to be MVP.
It's still entertaining.
I guess it'll still be entertaining. It'll be like 70s basketball. Just 10 seconds, shot. And sprint back down the floor, shot.
Will they be wearing...
It'll be like Grinnell. The Grinnell offense. The first shot is the best shot.
Will they have the 70s shorts on, though? That's the question.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would love a throwback All-Star game.
Jackie Moon style.
Last note, probably one of the more entertaining parts of the evening was Isaiah Thomas.
Do it for your daddy.
Not Boston Celtics currently unrestricted free agent Isaiah Thomas, but the original Isaiah Thomas of the Bad Boy Pistons era. He was a bit sauced last night.
Yeah. Man. It was hilarious, though. Kristen Ledlow looked so
liquor.
She looks so awkward up there. Like, what is happening right now? I was not.
Well, what did he screw up? He announced that Patrick Beverley was going to be doing something.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, well, you're just giving away everything. You wouldn't make mistakes if you showed up to rehearsals."
Yeah.
And they cut to him, and he's just he's got that
he's
you
laughing.
can tell, but it's that that he was. There's a difference between being a little buzzed and people have said hey, is Chris Collinsworth drunk on or Troy Aikman drunk on TV right now?
Yeah.
And being a little buzzed and excited. Isaiah Thomas had that lips pursed kind of rocking yes.
Oh, he had Jack Daniels face for sure. 100%.
I'm here. Yes.
Whiskey on the rocks is what he had before he got up there. They're just Isaiah, calm it down. Don't drink too much. And then he just gets up there and just bombs the thing. It's so funny. He just Kristen Ledlow the whole time is just kind of laughing, trying to do the intros, but he keeps interrupting her. It's just an absolute cluster.
Yeah, I thought I was trolling Twitter when I got back from work late last night, and I'd see Joel Embiid be I'm just on here to see you guys drag Isaiah Thomas. And I'm oh God, what did IT do? And I'm thinking it's, the Boston Celtics, former Boston Celtic, Isaiah Thomas, that they had him plan to participate in something at All-Star Weekend, be a host of something, and now he's not on the team, and he's just so angry, and he just decided to get completely loaded, and he's going off on he went off on the NBA or something like that. And I mean, I was I was a little disappointed, but I'm glad because my man IT. I mean, I want things to go well for him. He's gonna have a moment. Because he can still play. That's the crazy thing. If he came back from the hip injury this year legitimately where he basically took the whole year off to get ready and prepare and be fully healthy, and if he came back to the Wizards and just was he's done.
He could help a team.
But he can play. He can still play. The dude should be on a team. I thought the Wizards were a good situation for him because John Wall wasn't coming back and he could be the starter. And I said somewhere originally the Magic was going to be a great landing place for him, but then they get Markelle Fultz who's balling out.
Yeah.
So that can be an off-season thing if he doesn't sign anywhere.
But man, just look at the difference.
Where can he go? If Devin Booker asks for a trade out of Phoenix to go play with D'Lo and Cat in Minnesota, maybe Isaiah goes back to the Suns.
The tale of two ITs last night. One's without a job, trying to get back on a team. The other's just tipsy off his butt, and he's just chilling with Kristen Ledlow, making a fool.
Trying to lose his job.
Yeah.
One wants a job. The other one's got a job.
Hey,
doing his best to get rid of it.
He's a happy guy. Just let him go.
So if you have any other thoughts on the All-Star weekend and then with the game happening later on tonight, send us your comments on the game and questions to the 360sportsshow@gmail.com, or you can send them through Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at 360 Sports Show. You can find us on there, and at the end of the show, we get to all your questions and comments, and we love the listener participation. It really drives the show. Some of our best content, some of our best segments of the show have come from the listeners. We're going to transition now. I guess biggest lead story, coming from Major League Baseball. The Mookie Betts trade does in fact finally go through. The Dodgers and Red Sox finally can agree to terms with each other. And so Mookie Betts and David Price do in fact become members of the Dodgers. The Sox end up getting 3 prospects back. I think personally, I wanted them to trade Betts. I was glad they could get rid of David Price while you're doing so, because Betts is looked at as a 1-year rental. That's how teams are approaching it. I think you're lucky to get what you got in the long run, and the only real backlash that'll come down the line if you're the Red Sox is if because the Dodgers still completed that trade with the Twins for that relief pitcher.
Yeah, Gratterall. Yep.
Gratterall. And if the Dodgers go to the World Series and Mookie rakes and that guy throws gas,
look out.
And the prospects that you ended up getting back don't pan out, there's gonna be a double take there, because this Red Sox do need bullpen help. That's been or closer. They've needed a hot arm out of the bullpen. That was their problem last year from the get-go. And if you decided to finagle and be like, oh, actually we don't like this guy, we want somebody else, and then that guy ends up being just a stud, oh man, that's a bad look.
How about that for Heimblum's first trade? Not great.
He was put into a difficult situation, though. I'll give him that.
I don't disagree.
His owner comes out and says, yeah, we're trying to get under the luxury tax. Oh, well, thanks, John. Just totally ruined my position.
Yeah, the luxury tax thing is I don't know. I agree but you're paying Jackie Bradley Jr. $11 million.
Not for long.
Nathan Eovaldi, bad contract. Chris Sale, that's why you're in this position where you have to trade Betts, who's arguably one of the top 3 players in the MLB.
I think Jackie's going to get traded.
How many? I would think so. Especially
they picked up another outfielder. They picked up Pilar, right?
Yeah, Pilar.
Yeah. So I think they're positioning themselves to just
who's virtually the same player.
Yeah.
And Pilar might even be better on the. Jackie Bradley Jr. does these things where he's jumping off the wall and looks like he's jumping off a trampoline to make these catches that are a little bit overrated, but Pilar I think he's arguably a better defender, but either way, and now Verdugo, who's the main part in the main piece in this trade, has back issues and he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. It's just oh, here we go. Great. And Jeter Downs, we'll see. He needs another year, I believe. He'll probably be in AA to AAA this year.
Jeter.
And he's the next Derek Jeter, but his first name is Jeter. Look out.
Is he going to wear number 2?
He might. No, I don't know. I would say, in my opinion, I don't like the trade, but I like getting rid of
What
Price.
trade could they have made that would make you? You would have wanted the entire Dodgers roster.
No, I would have kept. Betts.
there's no way that you would have.
I would have kept Betts for the year.
Oh, I thought you said you would have kept Price. I was like,
no. Ship his ass out, but I would have kept Betts for the year. I think,
and just get a 3rd round compensatory pick.
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen. How many times do these guys like this get traded? Not very often.
And
I think there was no negotiation. So yes, you can say that they weren't going to pay Betts, but there's a reason they're not going to pay Betts, and that's because they're Dombrowski there ruined the farm system and gave out bad contracts. Ownership now decided that they're going to step in and take over this whole ship and, plug in a guy that is basically an analytics robot and see what they can do, which they have to rebuild their farm system. They have to rebuild they have to get under the tax. But I don't know. I don't feel great about it just because I would rather have Betts on this team than not. If he's not going to sign here, he's not going to sign here. But at least let him go to market. If someone gives him an outrageous, like I'm not giving him 12 years, $420 million, but I would give him.
That's what he wants.
I would give him 8. And
it doesn't matter what
380.
This is the thing. Everybody's talking about like, well, this is what I would give him, and he would take it. The dude wants 12 years, $400-something million, and somebody's going to give it to him. And
Probably.
It's not going to. I don't want it to be the Red Sox, and you don't want it to be the Red Sox to give him that contract. So the dude's leaving. You
I just
understand
don't think
the dude is leaving.
I would give him a bunch of money in less years or more years and less money.
But he wants both. And essentially, I mean, I would do the half measure. Hey, you want...
He's going to end up in like Arizona.
Because you're paying for... And we've been over this. You're paying really for like 6 to 7 years of actual good service. So why not just give him a 7-8 year deal for the same amount of money? You're going to pay like a guy $60 million a year? That'd be the highest annual average contract. They would obliterate like the current number. Like the current number is...
At the end of the year, though...
35, I think?
There's got to be a chance. There's a chance that you could negotiate him down if he actually wanted to stay and play with this core of like Bogarts and these guys. But
I don't think he does. All right, right now, Christian, if they didn't make this trade, if they kept the current, if they took basically last year's team and just rolled them out again.
No, you have to get rid of Price.
Okay, but who wants to take that contract?
No, you eat the money on it, but you still get rid of him.
Okay, so now you're down a pitcher. You're eating money.
You're down a pitcher anyway now with the Betts trade.
Okay, but I'm saying
so it's kind of a wash in that sense.
But you're down. So you've traded Price. So you're down a guy that has been a starter in your rotation, who you're hoping to get 22, 23 games out of, ideally 200 innings. So you're bringing up a prospect, or you're signing some low level, no name type guy, hoping you can get something more out of him. What is your expectation for the Red Sox? Who still, yes, Ron Renneke has been named interim manager, but I still don't. I mean, and he could get. They did that so that they could can him tomorrow if the Red Sox punishment finally comes out.
I think they want Cora back. I'm starting to think more and more that they're going to try to get Cora back.
He's just a placeholder,
yeah.
And we'll get into that fully in a second here. The update with like the Astro stuff, which I'm glad that it's like the story that will never die. It's like following Antonio Brown last summer.
Yeah. Following
this Astros thing is just going to be so fascinating because more and more is just going to keep coming.
The players are talking now. So,
but what do you think the Red Sox do this year with that lineup?
They're okay. Their offense this year is still good.
But I'm saying what you're saying. If they didn't trade Mookie, I think their offense is still fine. But I'm saying, what do you subtract David Price, you don't replace him with anybody consummate, and what do the Red Sox do without actual like management or leadership currently?
In what sense?
I mean,
do they win 90 games and get into the playoffs? They could. You don't think Betts adds a win here or there for that team?
Maybe, but at the same time,
we'll see. Ultimately, we'll see on the return. Because I don't think the return is great.
Because there's just so many assumptions there to make that Chris Sale is healthy for the whole year. Not going to happen.
He has pneumonia.
Yeah.
Already.
Not going to happen. That, their bullpen, magically just pitches well again. Like they did in the... People forget that bullpen was the Achilles heel of that 2018 team. And then those guys got on, they took Michael Jordan's special drink, magic drink in the playoffs and absolutely went insane. And it wasn't even necessarily the bullpen. It was because Alex Cora managed the crap out of it and had starters act as relievers. And they managed their way to a World Series.
Yeah. And, their closer this year.
And then they didn't add any bullpen help last year, and it completely fell apart.
They said their closer this year is Brandon Workman. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. They're going to get under the tax. They're going to cut some payroll. And you know what? The other thing, if they're in it this year, there's a chance they go out and make a trade at the deadline they could get a real guy if they get under the tax here midway through the year if they're in it. Now, I'm not convinced they'll be in it, but their roster is still good. Like even without Price and Mookie, their roster is still good. I think they added Perez into the rotation, who is, middle of the road guy. But they're not, their offense and stuff is not bad. They just signed Benintendi to a couple of years, I think, and Eduardo Rodriguez is back, which they took him to arbitration over $600,000. I don't even want to start getting into that.
And
but
he lost. Like, what are you doing?
That's a young.
That's how you lose people. Well, they took Mookie Betts to arbitration a while back. I mean, maybe that's the beginning of where you lose a guy is you rake him over the coal, because the way those meetings work is you sit down and the player says, this is what I did, blah blah blah, this is what I think I'm owed, and the club sits there, your own team, and they degrade you and say, no, this is why he's not worth this,
i.e. John Lester.
But yeah, this is why this these are the negatives, this is what he can't do, and then like, how do you walk out of that meeting with any sort of confidence about playing for that team? It's tough.
The one that's memorable is Lester.
That they're gonna nickel and they're gonna just bend you over backwards for a couple $100,000 when they're taking in billions.
Just crazy. We'll get into the Red Sox a little bit more, but in terms of the trade, it is what it is. We'll see ultimately on the return if it pans out. If you're talking about just solely cutting payroll, or you think he's gone so you want to get a return, then fine. If you're talking about cutting payroll to get under the tax and you have to trade Betts, I disagree. I think you're in this position because of bad contracts, so you could find another way to do that if you really needed to. But overall, it is what it is. We'll see what happens with the return and Verdugo if he pans out to be something. But I think the Red Sox are still good enough to at least sneak in maybe to a wild card spot or something like that this year. Bigger picture.
Now, their punishment still has not come out. It was expected early last week. Nope.
It's supposed to be this week now, I guess.
By the day, I think the MLB is starting to look more and more like the NFL with their handling of this, because as you said, players now are talking. There's been reports that opponent pitchers are saying now that when they face the Astros this year, they're just going to barrage those guys, that they're going to sweep these guys off the plate intentionally. They're just going to retaliate. I think bet the over on Altuve's on base percentage this year, because I think he's going to get plunked probably every single game.
Yeah, I would.
So it's the situation just
right in the tattoo for Altuve,
right in the buzzer. The situation, I think, internally with the league is just getting worse and worse. With you wanted to try and keep it to, okay, we're just going to punish the teams. The players are going to be exonerated. We're not going to do anything. And then that's kind of just upset more players. And it's going to be bad for baseball if this whole thing explodes into just a pointing of fingers about who does what and everything, because you just don't want to shine a light on that if you're Major League Baseball. And the question mark's going to be with the Red Sox, if this what the punishment's going to be. Is Alex Cora back in play? Is Renicky interim because they could just bring Cora back next year? Some reports say his punishment is going to be lighter than initially thought. I don't know. What are your thoughts about how this thing is just starting to play out now? I think it's starting to look really. I think it's going to be really bad. More and more is just going to keep coming out.
Yeah, and everybody's got their story now, so we'll see what happens. In my opinion,
the Astros are sorry.
Yeah, they're so sorry, and they're what we didn't really affect the outcome of games, okay? So it's not a big deal, which is just a crock of poo. I would say, man, I don't know. This thing looks worse by the detail, and the Astros players are making themselves look so bad. Like, Correa keeps talking. He won't shut up. So the more you say, the more you're going to dig yourself into a hole. Like, Altuve didn't want us to rip the jersey up because he had a unfinished tattoo. It just seems like you're making a mockery of it now, and it's like I'm starting to think MLB didn't come down hard enough. I think some of these players should get walloped now. Like, I don't. In my opinion, I think there was something going on with the individual players. Maybe it was a buzzer, maybe it wasn't. But and another one, I think maybe it was Correa too. Was like, yeah, Altuve didn't use the garbage cans. Wait, what? So you're saying batters 1, 2 used it. Altuve said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 used it. That's just. I think Adam Jones is playing over in some league overseas, and he came out and was like, "This is the best thing I've heard," with like a bunch of crying, laughing emojis. Just like, it's just such a mockery, and all these guys are talking now. Like Chris Bryant came out and said a couple different things. What a disgrace. I watched their apology yesterday. There was no sincerity, no genuineness. It was messed up in a big way. I'd be the first one to let you know how big of a mess it was. It was just hard to believe. It's really sad. Like all these guys now are seeing, because the start of the season is coming up here in spring training, all these guys outside of the Astros are seeing their half-ass apology, and that would piss me off if I'm someone else, because it clearly affected the game, and you have your owner over there saying it really didn't matter, basically, which is just it's just a flat-out lie.
That organization just sucks to begin with.
Yeah,
like
they do.
All like just everything that's happened with them, whether it's this cheating thing, whether it's the stuff with their was it a GM? Somebody front office guy was like degrading the that woman in the locker room. Like it's just.
This is the best one. Ready for this one? Let me see if I can find it real quick. But
no morals there in Houston.
And it just continues to look worse and worse. I gotta find this one. It was Gary Sanchez came out and was like, all I know is that if I had hit a walk-off to win the world, or to go to the World Series, you could have ripped my pants off. And I was just like, that's so true. It's just like coming around third, rip it all off. That's basically what he said. And they're just trying to make this thing like unfinished tattoo. His wife said not to. He's shy. And then all I see is pictures of him like on a beach with his shirt off. I'm just like, what is going on here? Why do you keep doing this? Just take ownership of it and move on. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, if you were given I don't know. They were given the MLB's kind of screwed up because they gave the players immunity, but then didn't come out and I think fully say what was going on, because they knew if you gave the full story, it would anger people and then the situation would deteriorate. Instead, they tried. It's a botched cover up. That's essentially what it's turning into.
Agreed. Yep.
It's a botched cover up, and now you a little bit got out of the box, so now you got to open the box again to try and get that little bit, but then a little more spills out, and then that part's now growing, and now you kind of have to keep making a bigger and bigger box to cover it all, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, once the games start, does it just kind of disappear and it becomes one of those things that, like,
I hope not.
People talk about, but, it's really becomes a non-factor.
Who's hoping for that? The Astros.
Oh, 100%.
Like, Aroldis Chapman.
Just moving on.
Yeah. Like, Aroldis Chapman was reacting to Crane's comments and was like, which is, I 100% agree with this. Is that the sole reason they won the World Series? I don't know. But what I can say, that when you have an advantage like that, it's definitely going to make you a stronger team. 100%. Whether it affected the game to make you win the World Series, maybe not. Who knows, Was that the sole reason you won? No, because your roster's pretty decent if you don't cheat. But it's still, okay, you can't say that doesn't give you an advantage. That's ridiculous.
Their home road splits, it's glaring.
Yeah, insane.
It is glaring. Like, it's not like, there's a difference of 0.01%. It's like, okay, well.
Especially Mr. MVP there, Altuve.
But with Altuve, it stands out. It's noticeable. And
so that didn't give you an advantage, though.
Yeah, it didn't give me an advantage in baseball to know what pitch is coming. It essentially had batting practice out there at the plate in a real game.
And Altuve was the only one that didn't use the trash can. He was really against it. He said, don't do that when I'm up. When everybody else is up, go ahead. Yeah, that's believable.
Joke. Absolute joke. But it's becoming, like I said, this is a NFL-styled now investigation for Major League Baseball, and it is the last thing that they need. Those are kind of the biggest stories from the week.
Oh, by the way, so the playoff format, I don't know if you saw the details on that. We'll talk about that next week more. But they have this new, and I'm just, I just.
Oh, they want to have like 14 teams.
Yeah, just like early reaction. I'm just like, hey, MLB, how about pace of play? Like, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah,
but we'll touch on that more.
I really want to. Hey, if that's the case, yes, the Red Sox will make the playoffs if they're going to take 7 teams from each conference.
We're going to take 28 teams out of 32, and it's just going to be a free for all.
Yeah. And those last 4 teams that don't make it are actually demoted out of Major League Baseball to the XFL.
Yep. And we add for those 4 teams, we had 4 more games to the schedule.
Yeah.
Make the baseball season even longer.
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, I want a 262 game schedule.
Yeah, that's good. Let's just make it year round, 12 months.
Yeah, never ends. So moving away from the lead stories of the week, we're going to focus in on the local stories here in New England. We'll touch quickly. I feel like it's been over talked about, but we'll spend a couple of minutes on it. And the Tom Brady talk.
I think it's awesome.
It's you hear 10 different things from 10 different people.
Oh, yeah.
100% he's going to the Cowboys. 100% he's going to the Titans. 100% he is going to go to Tampa Bay. 100% he's going to the Chargers. 100% he's staying in New England. There's no way Robert Kraft. And so there's just so much smoke.
Oh, it's silly season right now.
It is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's the best possible thing for Tom Brady if he really wants to stay in New England. The question is, will Bill blink? And I think that's going to be fascinating to see because I think he generally wants to stay here. He doesn't want to be paid pittance, but he wants to be decently paid. I think they're a little hesitant to give a 43-year-old quarterback a crap ton of money and basically just say, well, ride or die. We're going to sink or swim with Tom Brady at 43 years old. And it's going to be. I'm just going to let it play out. I'm really. Yeah. I'm a hardcore Patriots fan. I'm really not all that worried. If Brady stays, he stays. If he leaves, honestly, the path is there for them to, you know what? You don't re-sign Devin McCourty. You don't re-sign Kyle Van Noy. You just draft a ton of guys. You trade Stephon Gilmore. Maybe you trade Gilmore to get up to the 3rd pick and get a quarterback. Because Gilmore's going to be paid $24 million this year. He's in all likelihood going to have the highest cap hit on the team, depending on what they do with Brady, and even still, I don't think Brady could supersede that because that would basically eat up all their money. We've been over the numbers. I don't want to bore people with the numbers. We've gone over the numbers again and again and again. You can't give Brady $30 million because if you put $30 million on the cap, you can't sign your rookies, and they need their rookies because they can't sign anybody else.
I believe that I'm not as worried because Belichick's here. So you trust in Bill if Brady's gone.
I'd be excited to watch the rebuild.
Yeah, why not? Right? I in my opinion, still, I stand pat on this. It's time, in my opinion, to just move on, and we'll figure it out.
Clear out the Deadwood fans.
Yeah,
get those bandwagons out of here.
Those red cedars up there. Actually, I've sat there before, but outside, not inside.
Yeah,
just for the record. But I would say, the reason you have Belichick here is for that rebuild. So if you're going away from Brady, I trust that Belichick's, I trust him with Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota for 1 year. If Stidham for sure needs 1 more year and he's not the guy and he's not ready, then I'm fine with that. And you have, you build back up on defense for a year, whether that's re-signing a few guys, because you're still gonna be up there in the division. It's gonna be you and Buffalo, so you just go with what you got and you trust Bill takes the year to figure things out. Maybe Stidham's ready year 3, and you move forward with him, or you draft another guy. But I'm okay with it. The reason you have Belichick here is for that rebuild. Guys like Josh Casario just signed, which we didn't mention yet, but he just re-upped, which is huge.
That was huge because, one, he tried to go to the Texans last year. Bill put the kibosh on that. And you give the guy the extension because you don't want the guy deciding your future, essentially, to not have the contract. His contract was going to expire. You don't want a guy who's not going to be here to be making your picks. That's just not wise.
Not good. And but I think that's a big move, even, hopefully beyond Belichick, Casario's around, because he's kind of the guy that's next in line to take over football ops almost.
Oh, he's been Bill programmed. Hear him talk and you close your eyes and you're like, is that Belichick?
He's been with the Patriots too long. He's been there for a while, 30 years or something crazy.
He's been there for a while.
But I'm okay with either way they go. And also, Brady in a powder blue Chargers jersey would just get me in a freaking oof, man. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. If you want, go to our Instagram page, or we put it out on Twitter and on Facebook, but the Instagram page is where it's gotten most of the attention. At 360 Sports Show. I've been pumping out the graphics. We had our top 5 jerseys of all time last week, and then during this week we put out just some ideas of what Tom Brady would look like in another jersey. We had him in a New York Giants jersey, which I actually thought kind of looked good. Pain me to say.
I know.
But it looked good. Giants jersey, Tampa Bay jersey, a Dolphins jersey, and the powder blue Chargers jersey. And that, I'd say out of all of them, the Buccaneers jersey looks the weirdest. Yeah. Even though that's probably a great place. TB to TB. That's really
true.
I think
good spot for TB12 sports too.
Yeah. TB12. TB12 2B. Anyway, I digress. But you can go check those out and tell us what you think. The Chargers powder blue is just
like I'm about to give up my life savings for him to go to the Chargers. I'm not even kidding. I'm about to sell my arm and a leg for him to go there. Just for that jersey.
Just because
I want to buy one, You
can go get one right now. You can get a customized
jersey.
Yeah,
it's not the same though. I got to see him in it first and then I go buy it.
No, you go get the jersey now and then when it happens, you can be like,
that's true.
I brought this into the universe. I made this happen.
And if he comes back, I already have one, so we're good there too.
Like before Gordon Hayward signed with the Celtics, Matt Murphy, who was on with us last week to talk NBA stuff, went and bought this tank top that was Gordon Hayward's face just all over.
Those are good. Yeah, I like that.
He was just master of your own universe, just trying to bring it to fruition.
That's a good idea. I might do that. I might do it right now.
So one of the other teams, quickly last on Brady, I think that nobody's talking about that I think could be a wild card here is if Drew Brees retires, the Saints, I think, could be that wild card team. Because the Broncos came out of nowhere to get Peyton Manning, if you remember back 8 years ago.
Yep.
I think the Saints could be in play because that's a team ready-made. You've got a coach in place who knows what he's doing. That's an offensive mind that's going to just work well with Brady. You have a defense that's ready to go. They don't have a ton. They have around $12-ish million of cap space. They don't really need to add a lot. They don't have any guys leaving that are big names. You could tender Taysom Hill to that restricted free agent deal.
Yeah.
Give Brady a big deal and kind of finagle the money around the way they've done with Drew Brees.
But if Brees says he's coming back,
no, I'm saying
he's willing to come back.
If Brees leaves, if he says no, you know what, I'm going to retire.
Okay, so even if they say we'll bring you back for a year, he says no, I'm done. Then okay, that's a good situation over there.
Yeah. If Brees decides, no, what, I've had enough, I'm going to walk away. The Saints immediately become in play for Tom Brady.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. Right now, it seems like it's mainly Chargers, Vegas, who apparently there's so many reports, but Vegas is 2 years, $60 million, which if that's fully guaranteed, I think he's gone. I think that's a pretty good deal. $60 million fully guaranteed, I think he's gone. But who knows? And then Dallas was the other one that was
But that's if it's just about if it's just about the money. Yeah, Tom's going to be playing in Vegas or Tampa Bay, or he go to the Dolphins. I think he wants to win too. I think he wants to stay here and win. I think he knows staying with Belichick gives him, with any roster, the best chance of winning.
Yeah.
I think he wants a little bit of respect with the money, and he wants to have a chance to win. I think Vegas, the Raiders, you swap out Derek Carr for with Tom Brady, and
I think Gruden's a pretty good coach though. I don't know. I give them a shot if Brady's
I think
there.
they win 11, 12 games, but I just don't think that team's ready yet.
No.
I don't think Brady's not at the point, I think, in his career where he's going to Peyton Manning still had a lot left in the tank, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally to remake a team. He helped remake that Broncos team. True. Brady doesn't want to do that. I think he'd do it. He'd put in the work here. I don't think he's going to want to go to a team where he's going to have to totally change the culture. You know what I mean? I think the culture has to already be good there, and I just don't think the Raiders are there yet.
Yeah. I honestly think Chargers...
Neither are the Buccaneers, but I think they just have the talent they have is just
Yeah.
Whoa,
I would pick Miami over
salivating.
Tampa Bay, though.
But
if you're going down south, Florida.
Sure, but the Dolphins are nowhere close to being ready to win.
No, closer than... Well, Tampa Bay has a good offense, but I don't know. I see Chargers are probably the ideal situation, in my opinion.
You want to know who wants Tom Brady on all these other teams more than anybody?
Bill Belichick?
Patriots fans. I've spoken to Dolphin fans. I've spoken to Raiders fans. I've spoken to Giants fans. They all don't want Tom Brady.
That's crap. Don't believe it.
Listen, I've just seen it too much other places, and firsthand, they either don't want a 43-year-old quarterback. You have Christian. I don't understand it. People they want Tua. Like, Dolphin fans want Tua. I'm like, you want a guy that is
You want Tim Tebow?
Is just trending towards bust? Like, really?
I think the people that
they hate him too much. They hate him too much.
I think that's BS. Okay, if Tom Brady goes to a team that we just mentioned, right, and their fans are like, no, we don't want Tom Brady, and then he gets there and they're starting to win games, they're going to be sleeping in Tom Brady jerseys and maybe even cleats.
Yeah, no, that you're absolutely right on that. But right now,
they're seeing red because of the name.
There's more people who are like kind of like the way you said. You were just gonna sell. Give me your arm, give me your leg, give me your life savings, and put Tom Brady on the Chargers.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
Chargers fans aren't even nearly that excited about getting Tom Brady.
Wait, what's a Charger fan? I don't see anybody in that stadium ever.
That soccer stadium that they played in.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how they fill out. It's going to be all corporate seats. There's going to be no actual fans at Chargers games.
Probably.
It's just going to be people coming to sites. It's just going to be tours coming through that new LA stadium.
You want a draw, though? Brady, I think, is a draw.
Oh, 100%.
So,
But what if, I mean, if you're Tom Brady and you go there and they're like, we're going to give you all this money, but like there's really not going to be, like, it's really just about, like, the Chargers are going to want to market the crap out of him. They're going to want him to make appearances and do all this other stuff and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's going to be more about making money for the team than
you know what he's
going to
say? Come on down to my TB12 Sports Center.
I don't know. Anyway, moving on from Tom Brady, I want to get to the Celtics, who had basically since whenever it was, like a couple weeks ago, they had that meeting that Tommy talked about before the Lakers game,
and not a last year meeting. Like, we're talking about like a real good meeting,
It was a real good meeting. Brad got in there. They've played outstanding. They have the one dud was the Sunday where
Houston.
Kobe Bryant passed away, and everybody they lost a winning streak on that day against the Pelicans. It's like it's just understandable. Like, nobody's heads were screwed on right.
Yeah.
Then they won 7 games in a row. Following that Houston game, I mean, everybody, it's just bad.
That game was horrible.
It's just bad basketball. And, I mean, the Celtics did kind of do it to themselves. They allowed themselves to play Houston stuff. But it's bad.
I have a Rockets rant coming up here because that team is so boring. I wanted to fall asleep.
It's like watching a pickup game at the Y. It's just dribble down the court, huck up a three. It's not even like let's like run plays to get open threes. They're just chucking it at the rim.
People say Marcus Smart is a flopper. I don't disagree. Watch James Harden play. It's insufferable to watch him play. I just realized this in the last like couple of years, but and most notably this year, because I don't catch a lot of Rockets games, but I see highlights. God, man, I don't like watching him play. It's so boring. He either steps back 8 steps and nails a three, or he flips his head back when no one's near him and he gets breathed on and he gets to the line. They went for like 50 free throws the other night. I wanted to like pull my eyes out.
James Harden is the only player in NBA history among qualifying guys, right? Like guys who matter. I'm sure there's some bench guy who played in like 3 games who has this too, but he has more made free throws than field goals.
And that's saying something because he shoots about 50 times a game.
I looked up, like, okay, who are other guys who have played for a while? Like, is it close? Like, Kobe Bryant got to the free throw line. Like, LeBron gets to the free throw line. LeBron still has like 5,000 more made field goals than free throws.
Yeah, just insane.
James Harden is breaking basketball. He's playing within the rules. But the
refs give it to him.
But it just doesn't feel right when a guy, I mean, he draws these fouls and he's just living at the free throw line to make his scoring. And it's going to be a debate someday. Like, say he wins a title. and I'm just saying, say he wins a title. And even if he doesn't, but the way he's scoring, what if he someday passes, like, he's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the league? It's just not going to feel the same, like, as a guy who did it against defense as opposed to a guy who just got 15,000 free throws.
Ready for this? This is embarrassing. All right, 25 free throws for the Celtics the other night. The game was an absolute cluster. It was terrible on both ends, but 25 free throws to 42 free throws for the Rockets. The Celtics shot the ball 8 more times than the Rockets. They went to the line 17 times less. That's insane.
And they were aggressive too.
It
wasn't to me. It wasn't that they just totally fell into the trap of 3 for 3 for 3 for 3. I do think they did stay.
They lost by 11, and they were down in the free throw column by 17.
Yeah,
it's insufferable.
I mean, I will say though,
they shot better.
That Houston team, it's a matchup problem. But they're a first-round exit in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Look at this. Ready?
Because, like, a single game, like, you can win a game with this style of we're just going to huck it up and you can't stop James Harden and Russell Westbrook. But in the course of a 7-game series, that's just not going to play out that way. They're going to lose in 5 games to somebody in the first round. So, like, I don't even worry about – no team should worry about facing, like, oh, how will you stop that backcourt? They'll stop themselves.
It was – they took 77 shots. 45 of them were threes, and then they took 42 free throws.
Ew.
Chuck, duck, and flop. That's pretty much what that team does. All they do.
That's the offensive philosophy.
D'Antoni he runs them out there. Don't play defense. Chuck, run, duck, dodge, dip, dive, duck, and dodge. That's basically what he has them doing. It's insufferable. But back to the
and
Celtics.
give PJ Tucker a wrench because that's what he's going to need to do to play defense in the playoffs against centers.
Guy. He's left on an island back there. Yikes. I think, real quick, I think in that game, Covington was technically the center.
Hey, Covington's the biggest guy. He's 6'9". Well, he's technically the center, but he's stuck out at the 3-point line.
Yeah. Just, I don't know.
They put the 6'5" guy at center, and they put the 6'9" guy out on the wing.
I don't do well with that team. But Celtics Clippers, hell of a game.
Oh, give me 7 of those in June. I would love to see these two teams play. Add in, give us Jaylen Brown back, get Pat Bev back on the other side. That would
Paul
be
George too, yeah.
And Paul George. That would be one hell of an entertaining NBA Finals. Boston, LA, and it would just rub it right in the face of the Lakers.
Really the first. Tatum's had some good games this year, and he's had some 30-point, which you can tell he's kind of coming into his own now. But that game the other night, Tatum was he took over the game. Both ends. That's the important part. Both ends
offense
of the floor.
And defense. You just stole the words right out of my mouth. And I think more importantly than him, just from the strict numbers, having a superstar level type of performance, they recognized what was going on and just kept giving him the ball. Like fourth quarter and overtime, it was just give the ball to Tatum. Like maybe it doesn't start there. We're gonna move the ball around.
No, we start with Brad Wanamaker, but
we're gonna get the ball side to side. But like once it gets down to 10 seconds, we're gonna get Tatum in a good spot and let him go to work.
Well, I mean, Tatum pretty much ran over Shamet the entire night. They got him into a mismatch most of the night, and even when he went at Kawhi, though, he was still damn good. But they liked that Shamet matchup, which I don't know. He got his. He looked like he had his 2 shoes tied together when Kemba crossed him up there through the legs. Just insane. But they liked that matchup and they kept going to it, which is good. Like Tatum had the hot hand pretty much. I don't know, second quarter on. Yeah. Actually, it was good right from the jump. But man, the more important piece to me for Tatum this year has been his defense. He was on Kawhi a few times down the stretch there and was just awesome. He was in the right place, knocked the ball out a few times, and he has such length that you don't realize. But when you go up to shoot it, Kawhi had to adjust just a tiny bit, and it threw him off. But he was both ends of the floor. Yes.
Fourth quarter.
Yes.
I think what's important, too, about them letting Tatum continue to get the ball, that's not just a Brad Stevens thing. That's a Kemba Walker thing.
Yep, 100%.
Last year, that game does not happen. It gets close, and then in the final 3 minutes, Kyrie Irving chucks up like 6 terrible shots
and ends the game 6 for 26 or something.
And ends the game and they don't come close to winning that game. That game took guts I think, the team this last like 2.5 weeks has really, really showed me something. Because there was points in that game where you could have given. I think they got down 5 at one point in the overtime or double.
They had
overtime.
the lead too. They had the lead, and
then they got down, and they had to battle back. It was like 50 seconds to go. You need to get a bucket, get a stop, and then get another bucket. And they kept making those plays. Now, I need to mention something. Well, while I'm pulling this up and setting it up, pull up the. Can you pull up the play-by-play, like from the box score of the second overtime? Because me and Christian were talking throughout the game, and we were discussing how the performance is, how guys are playing, this, that, and the other thing. And we were both kind of on Gordon Hayward. He was having he was contributing. Had a rough game shooting, but his defense was solid. He was rebounding. I think he led the team in rebounding. He had 13 rebounds in total in the game.
He had a good game other than wide open shots.
And he missed a whole bunch of shots. And it was the second overtime. And at 11:01 p.m., my dad texts me. And he says, Tatum, huge night. But Hayward will score game winner or have big buckets down the stretch. And
he did.
Run me through. They were... Find that first. Hayward hit. I think it was a corner. Yeah. It was either a straightaway 3 or a corner 3.
Straightaway, yeah.
Straightaway 3. Read me the play-by-play from there. Just every single time Hayward's meant. Like just read the play-by-play.
All right, here we go. We'll go. All right, so I'll go back a little bit further. We're tied at 130, right? Marcus Smart, bad pass. Kawhi Leonard steals. Kawhi Leonard,
you
bad
just
pass.
want to start with Marcus Smart ragging.
Because I got you. Hold on. 2 seconds later, Kawhi Leonard bad pass. Marcus Smart steals. Then Marcus Smart makes a driving layup. Grant Williams blocks Shamit's layup. Defensive rebound. Tatum makes a layup, and the Clippers call a timeout. So now the Clippers are down 130 to 134. And okay, here they come. They're going to come back. It's going to be tied again. Harrell basically made Grant Williams retire with his dunk.
Even Brad Stevens was like, we had to check and make sure that
he was alive. He gets absolutely demolished on a dunk. So it's 134, 132, and it's like, okay, here we go. This is a big possession.
Because they needed to keep scoring because they weren't going to be able to stop Harrell inside.
Yep. And 136 left in the game. Tatum goes baseline and goes around Shamit, I believe. He gets shut off down there, maybe by Kawhi or someone else. Wraps around and kicks this one out to Hayward. In stride, nails a 3. 136. Hayward makes a 26-foot three-point jumper. And I'm like, out of all the shots, thank you, Gordon Hayward. Thank you. So he called it. Your dad called it. He got it right.
Keep going, though, because Hayward ended up, Hayward closed out the game.
So we go a few more positions. Let's see. Lou Williams, bad pass. Grant Williams stole it. Tatum, offensive foul. Bullcrap call, by the way. I remember that one. So a turnover there. Lou Williams comes back down, who has just been killing you all night. He's been awesome. He drives towards the paint, and Hayward blocks it. That was a key one, and it goes off of Lou Williams out of bounds. Then Hayward misses a three-pointer, but he gets the offensive rebound. Williams gets a foul. You go down the line, so Hayward makes one free throw. Makes 2 of 2. Marcus Morris Sr., bad pass. Hayward steals. Lou Williams, personal foul. Hayward makes 1 of 2. Hayward makes 2 of 2. And that was pretty much it. But there was one play, the biggest play of the game, in my opinion, was his three-pointer. They go down the other way, and he makes a huge block on Lou Williams. That was a huge play.
Because Williams turned the corner on him, and that dude, he makes more crazy off-balance shots than anyone. Like, that little flip shot, like he gets in the paint, and he just like...
He's money.
He looks like he's gobbled up, and somehow the ball is in the air, and you're like, oh, it's in. Like, how the hell?
He is money.
And for Hayward to, like, recover and block that shot was huge.
I was just about to say that, because he was behind him a little bit on that play. He was trailing the play, got back in it, made an amazing block, and then knocked it off of Lou Williams out of bounds. Celtics are up 5. Here you go. Now they have to foul, and Hayward makes his free throws. So for all of the gripe that I had with Hayward, because I think he took the most open shots in that game and missed them all, but he was playing well, rebounding-wise.
He did the other things.
He always is good with his passing. This is what I'm saying. People that wanted to trade Hayward for, like, Drummond, no. Hayward does a lot more for the team than you think. You don't see it on the stat sheet all the time, like because he'll get a hockey assist or something like that. But he makes plays for other people, and man, in crunch time, that was good to see because there's been some games this year where he struggled in big games against like Philly and games like that. Money at the end, made all of his free throws, made that 3, and on defense, awesome.
He's that weird, awkwardly shaped piece in a game of Tetris.
Yeah.
Where what he's doing right now is just fitting in all the cracks. Rebounding, assists, steals. Like, you look down his box scores, and he was having an all-star start to the season.
He's averaging career highs in rebounds, I think.
And three-point shooting.
And 3-point field goal percentage.
He could be a 40 whatchamacallit? Like a 40, 50, 90 guy, close to something like that. Like he's having an unreal.
Well, you just look at games where he's going, and he's got 16 to 20 points, but then he's got like 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Like he's just doing everything, and it was really good to see. The other night, him come through in that moment when they needed him because he was open on that 3 that Tatum made the play, drew everybody into the paint, and
because there's one earlier where he was open for the 3 and he like pumped it and then took a step in, took a weird, and you could tell that was he wasn't comfortable shooting the ball. And somebody must have said something, dude, just let it fly, just keep shooting,
yeah.
Marcus Smart told him keep shooting.
Oh God. That's coming from Marcus Smart. That means something, yeah. Because man, does he keep shooting? But he did make a huge shot in the second overtime.
But what's you have the box score there? What's Marcus Smart's final line? Because every time he shoots the ball, you just cringe. But they needed him to take those shots without Jaylen Brown in the lineup. So that's why if Jaylen Brown is there and they're fully healthy, Marcus Smart shouldn't need to take more than 10 shots a game.
Yeah.
With no Jaylen Brown, you need somebody to generate that offense.
I say this all the time, though. You live and die by it because he makes such good plays, and then he just does something so stupid. But in that second overtime, you're down 4, and I'm like, that's kind of it. I think, this is where they close it out. Smart comes right back down, nails a 3 when you need him.
Oh, no, and not just nails a 3. It was that the...
That was from the logo, basically.
Oh, that was the kick-out one? Because there was the other one where he, like, fielded a ball on the bounce in the corner, off balance, falling out of bounds, like, had to arc it over Harrell and, like, just can't.
This one where he just comes down and steps into it. Yeah. His final line, 31 points, 10 of 20. Not bad.
So 50%.
But he took the most threes on the team. 5 of 14.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Because think about it this way:
I'm not, but
if Jaylen Brown took, I say I want Marcus shoot. How many times? What was his? He was 10 of 20.
10 of 20.
So take away 10 of those shots.
Well, the 9 misses were for threes.
Yeah,
9 of 10.
So I
see, but here's the thing, right? You don't see it in the line like 5 of 14, but it's just in weird spots where he's taking stupid shots. That's the only problem I have with it. Like if he's open and he's shooting, fine. But there's moments when like you're up 6 and you're kind of rolling and you can maybe even get this thing open a little bit more, and he takes such a dumb shot that I'm just like, what are we doing? But then he comes back down the other end and steals the ball. So, like I said, I think you just live and die by what he does. If you tell him to stop shooting, does that take away from his defensive prowess? Maybe. But I don't know. 14 threes is a lot, and that was the most on the team. But man, Tatum,
he carried you early though. I mean, he literally scored like all the points to begin the game.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, he was definitely good in the game. There's no question.
And that's where kind of sometimes the numbers can get skewed. Like you start 5 for 5 from 3, or 3 for 4, and then you score that so early on. Your attempts are just going to be up, and the number of times you shoot it again later on are just going to be kind of skewed too.
Just back to the Kemba Walker versus Kyrie Irving thing, because I think this is an interesting storyline as we go throughout the season, because it's just like one of those things where you look from the only difference between all these guys. Now, obviously, you got rid of Rozier and those guys, but Kemba Walker did not have his best game. He was 5 of 17, 19 points, but he was a plus 22, the highest on the team. So he's doing things to make his team better, and he's not crying about it. Yeah.
Took a big lick in the chops.
Oh, man, did he?
From Kawhi.
Yeah.
And got up and was pounding the floor. That dude's a Celtic.
Oh, yeah. No, he is, yeah. He's just got that mentality, And just looking at the stat sheet again, Tatum was just unbelievable. Now, free throws, I would like to see him hit more, but that's my one gripe is the free throws because he was 6 of 10. But 39 points, 14 of 23, super efficient, 5 of 10 from 3, efficient. 9 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. He's just all over the place, and he was just awesome on defense as well.
Yeah, he's starting to string together more and more of these type of games, and it's the progression you wanted to see. And like I said, if the future of this team is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yep.
These guys are going to continue to grow. They've shown the growth. They're going to continue to get
if Tatum
better.
sticks around.
He'll stick. I
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The Celtics aren't dumb, and I think they're gonna.
You pay him out the nose.
Yeah. That's gonna happen this summer. Don't worry. Another Celtics point. They announced during the game that they're going to retire
random.
The big ticket.
How random was that though? In like the middle of the Clippers game, in the middle of the it's not like KG was there.
Yeah,
this is so random. But yeah,
news dump.
Okay.
News dump.
Yeah,
before the All-Star game. When they first announced they're going to retire Garnett's number, my initial reaction was this is bad because I love Kevin Garnett. He one of my basketball inspirations. A dude that's just like all hustle, defense, but also has like this crazy awesome there was no one like him in the league when he came in. A guy that size with that ability, and Garnett would talk about it, working on his craft, and he had not just an athletic and a skilled game, but he had a crafty game too. Especially as he got on in his career, and the post moves, just beautiful stuff to watch. Just a winner. And it was a shame that he was stuck in Minnesota for so long and not able to win more. If he had come to the Celtics earlier, who knows? Like if him and Paul Pierce had gotten together sooner, what could have been? I felt like just the one title. He was only here for 6 years, but when I thought about it more, I realized that he was such a transformative figure for that team. I mean, that team wasn't going to win anything with just Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Al Jefferson.
Yeah, no.
They would have maybe made a conference final. Garnett is what put that team over the top. Total culture change and reinvigorated everything.
There's a mixed bag on this, though. From who I've talked to, there's a lot of people saying, I don't think so. One title wasn't enough. Pierce, because he was longevity and the title, he's an automatic, right? He's like the lead. He's one of the leading scorers, if not he might be the leading scorer in Celtics history. But Garnett, for me, I'm a hell yeah on Garnett. Like Ray Allen, Rondo, no, you can't just keep adding guys up there.
The argument for Rondo will be interesting because I do think Garnett and Pierce should be the only guys out of that run. Yeah. But look, here's Rondo's numbers. It's a little more impressive than I thought. 4-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Defense, 3-time NBA assist leader, NBA steals leader, and he won a championship. And he was a monster in that finals.
I'm a no. I don't know.
He wasn't a monster in the finals. Game 6, he was an absolute beast. And from there, the next 5 years, he was on the fringe of MVP consideration.
Yeah.
Especially in the playoffs.
I'm still a no.
He was averaging a triple-double mostly.
Too many guys.
Well, no, and that's where I'm I want this.
But Garnett is he was Pierce was the captain, but Garnett was the centerpiece of that thing.
Oh, he was the heart and soul.
He drove it. If he doesn't get injured, I think they win 2. They should have won 2. Let's be real. They should have won 2.
And trying to hold all these Celtics to the standard of having to win multiple titles is realistically it's tough. So if you won 1. If they hadn't won at all,
that's a complete
I
failure.
think maybe Pierce, gets up there 10, 15 years from now as almost hey, you're 80 years old. We want to do something nice for you.
Yeah, but Garnett came in and like you mentioned, Pierce is not automatic just because of longevity. But KG came in to that team and brought everybody together. They knew they had to make sacrifices on the team, but he really drove that thing home. And both ends of the floor, he's an intense guy. He wants to win, and I just think he's a yes because of the intangibles, number 1. And number 2, he was a great player. And he brought the Celtics back, really. That gets you going. They did that the other night, too, and everybody was saying, I'm ready to run through a brick wall.
Let me cue that up again. Actually, let me get that. What I love too is if you've ever seen any of the behind the scenes stuff, it was like media day in like 2010, 2011, and somebody's talking to, I think it's Rondo in a meeting, in a little, a director's chair. They're sitting down doing an interview, and like the next door, Garnett is filming like the hype video stuff.
I've seen this, yeah.
And Rondo's like, he can't focus. He's like, dude, how do you have this kind of energy, man? It's like 7:00 in the morning. Like, what is media day? Like, how are you this pumped up? And like, that's just the intensity that Garnett brought all the time. Like, he's like, oh, I'm here to like tape this pump up video. Like, oh, I'm gonna get psyched, and he would just get totally like frothing at the mouth.
He's that type of guy, yeah.
To like, because sometimes you see those guys do the pump up things like for the crowd, like, make some noise, come on, let's hear it. And it's just like, oh god, this is kind of awkward. Garnett's like, let's go. Just absolutely
screams right into
screaming
your
at the
face.
top of his lungs. And that's why you love the guy. I also, have you seen Uncut Gems?
No, not yet.
Ooh, add that to your homework.
That is definitely on there. I wanted to see that. It was not really in theaters around here, which is
It
weird.
was very shortly around here, but very much worth the watch. We could talk about that. And they talked about the same thing, Garnett, the intensity he brought on set. I guess they played pickup basketball games.
Yeah, that's what I saw
set.
on Jimmy Kimmel. It was
And then
Sandler.
Garnett talked about like the intensity he has to basketball, trying to apply that to like being an actor was interesting, and how much respect he has for like he obviously the preparation and the work that he would bring to like being a basketball player, seeing how guys do that in other professions, like how much prep and work and focus it takes to be an actor.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to hear him talk about all that. And once you see the movie, we can discuss further. What are your thoughts, the listeners? Should Garnett be in the? He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. They announced that along with Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant.
Well deserved.
Obviously a surefire Hall of Famer. Does he deserve to have his number retired with the Celtics? Even though they've kind of devalued retiring numbers there, I do think if you're going to stick with two guys who should be up there next, it was Pierce, and I think Garnett's deserving. Cap it at that. But what do you think? Send us your thoughts to the 360 Sports Show at gmail.com or through Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at 360 Sports Show. We've already talked Red Sox. Last thing locally we'll talk about is the Boston Bruins, who continue their pace. Best team in the NHL.
Next week will be a big week for this with the trade deadline.
Trade deadline coming.
Monday, a week from tomorrow. So,
Christian, maybe talk a little bit about, we've discussed who they should go after. What are you looking for in a trade piece? What's most important for this Bruins team?
I got a question for you at the end of this piece that I'm about to talk about. But so what I think they need, the guy that I would like to see is Tyler Toffoli, because I think he offers something on that right wing side. He's got size, and he's a little more tough. So I think, I'm looking for size, and I think you just saw it last year in the Blues series. You get beat up in the playoffs. It's just what it is, and I don't think the Bruins have enough size. So I'd like to see power forward style, something like that. I don't think you need like a Taylor Hall. I mean, I think I would take him on the team because just for like the rental, because I think
Luther.
Yeah, he really is, and he's kind of a pud. But I think I would still take him for this team for the rental because he is pretty dynamic. But I think size is the number one thing. So Toffoli, Anderson, someone like that. Even Kovalchuk, I thought they should have taken a flyer on when he was a free agent, or he got released there. Someone like that just adds a little bit something. You're kind of looking for like a Charlie Coyle again this year. Here's my question for you. This is a name that I've seen, and I think for the right price, for pretty much nothing, I would do it and stash him on like the third or fourth line, as he plays soft for a big guy. How do you feel about Joe Thornton?
Oh man, bringing back Big Joe.
I think it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, because I think on this team he's not the captain or anything like that.
No.
They got a good room, so if you stash him on like the fourth line for some size, maybe on the power play in front of the net.
Give that man a ring.
Yeah.
Put the sad Joe memes to bed. I don't know. What do you do in that situation, though? Do you almost curse yourselves? Are you destined to get to the final and then like get blown out because Joe Thornton is just
every
cursed?
dog has his day? That's what I'm going with.
Joe Thornton.
Now, here's what I say. You don't take Joe Thornton over a Toffoli. But if you can get both and Thornton's super cheap for like a 6th rounder or something, whatever, like a 98th rounder, I think you do it. I think you get him, and if you can get him on the cheap, and then add another player, I'm all for it.
I think if you're going after Joe Thornton, you're trying to channel Toby Keith. Stick with me here. Toby Keith has a song, and the lyrics in this song go, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was.
I like it.
That's what you're hoping for.
I like it. Yeah. That's what I'm...
You're bringing in him. You're trying to bring some mojo, get Joe mojo.
Because he's got to be motivated, right?
Yeah. Maybe he empties the tank and goes all out.
Yeah. I think this is it.
That's an intriguing possibility. I like that. I think I could get down with that.
Yeah. Especially if you add another piece and he's kind of like a secondary cheap rental, for the rest of the season. I'm all for it. I think it'd be cool.
I do like Toffoli a lot. I think everything you just said, a bigger guy, bring some size, some physicality, and some experience. I mean, been there, won. Those Kings teams were nails. So having a guy like that,
he's a good player
in the
too.
locker room. He's a solid player. So that move, as I've heard for weeks, has just basically been in the bag. That as soon as the Bruins want to do it, it's there. And they're just trying to kick the tires on all these other things.
About how much you have to give up. Like, do you give up Bjork for that? I don't know. I think Bjork's so young.
Ondas?
I think Heinen should be a guy that you look at maybe moving. The quiet one. He does nothing, but he's quietly doing something. That's how I feel about Danton Heinen. He's very under the radar. He's not flashy. He carries the puck nicely, and it's just kind of like, oh, here we go. We're having a skate. Down the ice, and then that's it. Danton Hines back on the bench. That's how I feel. So I think he's probably a guy that you look to move, and then they have some guys stashed in Providence that you could move. But
Darth Vader.
At this point with this core, I don't think you worry too much about. Oh, and Kreider's the other one. I would take Kreider. I think depending on the price,
you have to overpay for him.
Yeah. I would like to see them go for a guy that they could possibly sign after it, too. Like a Toffoli, I think you could lock up here, maybe. Like a Charlie Coyle type situation. I think that's what you're looking for, honestly.
Yeah, there's gonna be options in play.
Yep. It's just a matter of who they get, but they're in on pretty much everybody.
If they do nothing, will your head explode?
Yes. No doubt. This is it. You have to load up here. This is one more run for this core. I truly believe that last year I thought it was it. This year is it. These guys.
Do it for the old boys.
Do it for Chara.
You got Chara, and if you get Big Joe back, and
bring the gang back together.
Can we somehow get Phil Kessel?
Maybe Mark Savard can come out of retirement.
Yes, there we go. That's it.
Get the old squad.
That's the answer. Mark Savard somewhere is, if he's listening to this, he's in a dark room.
Yeah. Poor guy. He's a coach now, though.
Yeah, man, I feel so bad for that guy.
He was an awesome guy.
He was awesome. I'm glad his name is on that 2011 Stanley Cup trophy because he deserves to be there. It's just a shame that he couldn't.
Matt Cook.
Be a
turd.
Pud.
Absolute freaking turd. That guy. Oh,
despicable.
Yeah, really. That's a guy that... Oh, real quick, too. This brings up a good point. The other day when the Bruins were playing Montreal, Chara got fined $5,000 for cross-checking Brandon Gallagher right in the throat. And as soon as that came
everything that's great about hockey.
Now, to be fair to Chara, everyone, all these Montreal fans were getting so salty about it. Like, he's such a dirty player. Remember when he pushed Pacioretty into the stanchion? Not really. It's not like he called the police on
when
the
they
guy.
wanted to have him arrested for attempted murder.
Like,
please.
God, those soft ass. Oh my God, those soft ass Montreal fans. Anyway, as soon as I saw that came out, Chara was fined $5,000. I was like, wait, $5,000? Hell yeah, money well spent. Are you kidding me? for cross-checking Gallagher right in the face?
Trying to give a guy a tracheotomy.
He got him, too. And then, you know what the best part was? They're in the box, and Chara is mocking him for flopping. I'm like, Chara, you literally just gave him a shot with your stick to the face. Not much flopping in that. You gave him a pretty good whack there, but still hilarious.
Yeah, that Definitely money well spent. So we'll have more NHL stuff definitely in the next week. We'll probably just do a whole big deep dive on the trade deadline stuff, and our next show will probably be entirely focused on NHL trade deadline and full dive.
Stuff could come out this week, too.
And stuff could come out this week. Has anything come out while we're sitting here? We have had breaking news before happen on the show. Nothing yet. As soon as we stop recording, that is when news will break. That's what happened last week with the Red Sox.
Yeah, I know.
We broke down everything. You leave, and then da-na-na, da-na-na. I look, oh, I got something on my phone. Oh, Mookie Betts has been traded.
Of course.
Great, of course. We can't always be that lucky. I guess some leftover nuggets from outside of the local stuff. We've spent time on NHL, did a whole big NBA thing, baseball. One last NBA kind of little note. We talked about the Rockets being just unbearable to watch. The Toronto Raptors lost a game.
Woohoo!
They are now 9-1 in their last 10 instead of being 10-0 and winning like 16 in a row.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. I'm going to be intrigued to see what happens. Right now, your Eastern Conference standings, still the Bucks, 46-8. The Raptors, 40-15, 6.5 games back. The Celtics are 2 games back from, or a game and a half back from that. They're at 38-16. Honestly, if the Bucks slip a little bit, it's going to be interesting if the Raptors can keep this up. I think the Celtics are going to keep up their pace. Do you see the Bucks being able to keep up this pace, and they're going to cruise and just be the number 1 seed?
Pretty much. That's how I see it. Yeah, I think the Bucks just go in. They're going to win 60 some odd games, and that'll be that. They might lose a few more than they did in the first half, but I think you're looking at the same type of deal. They might lose 5, 6, but they'll be first. And the Raptors, until they do without Kawhi, I'm just kind of reading into the whole thing this is the Raptors of old. They're going to be the number 2 seed. They're going to get in the playoffs, and then they're going to choke it away. Until they do it without Kawhi, that's what I'm going by.
Yeah. Conversely, a team that is kind of sputtering now, the Miami Heat, are 4-6 in their last 10. They make all those big deals, and they've kind of sputtered here to the halfway point. At the All-Star break. Are you worried about the Heat, or is this just they wanted to get to the break? They're going to kind of retool and come out of the All-Star break, and now we'll really see what the Miami Heat are with all these pieces they've added.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be fine. They'll be all right. Everybody kind of has that little slide, and I think they're just in the midst of one, but I think they'll be fine. They'll be in that 4-5 spot in the East, probably, in contention with the Celtics, 76ers, Pacers, all those teams clumped together. But I think they'll be fine. I think the stands are pretty much going to stand pat, honestly. Maybe, it's going to be Milwaukee and then pretty much everything else, which is how it's been the whole year. So maybe Celtics, Raptors could swap, but it's going to be pretty standard, I'd say, going forward.
Out in the Western Conference, Lakers still on top. Nuggets, the 2 seed. The Nuggets are kind of like the Raptors. You're like,
yeah, don't trust them.
Ho-hum. Clippers are still in the 3 spot. Are you worried about the Clippers? They kind of, again, didn't play all that well kind of to the finish line here at the halfway point.
Yeah, they lost to Philly and Boston back-to-back, yeah.
And there's been the chemistry issues. Are they honest? Are they better without Paul George because they don't have 2 guys that are going to be ball dominant?
Yeah.
Are you worried? Are you worried at all about the Clippers? I still think it's going to be LA in the conference finals. Have you wavered at all on that?
No, because I think once playoff time comes, you got Kawhi. In my opinion, he's the best player in the league. Just because what he does is all over the court, not just offensively, but both offensive, defense, special teams. He does pretty much everything, and I think once you get into the playoffs, Kawhi, George, I think all those guys will just show up, and you'll be in that contention for the East, West Finals or even the NBA Finals.
I might be backing off of my LA conference final only because I think the Clippers might be coasting. And I think they're only a half game up on the Utah Jazz, who are a team that does not coast. They may not win all the time, but they play hard for Quinn Snyder. And they could leapfrog them. If the Clippers are the 4 seed, now
Clippers are a bad road team.
Now you're playing the Rockets in the first round, and then you got to go play the Lakers in the second round. I think maybe you get LA in the second round instead.
Possible, yeah.
Because the Clippers, I mean, they're going to have to kick it up a notch after the All-Star break. Because the Lakers are just Lakers are cruising, but they're cruising in they're locked in cruising. Like they're just rolling them out and they're just doing their thing every single night.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The Clippers are going to have to show me something more than they showed down the stretch here. Brad Stevens talked about it. You can make up ground before and after the All-Star game because teams are kind of coasting. And so, I mean, it's tough to really, truly judge. I do think it's disheartening that if you're a Clippers fan, you see them they didn't lay an egg against the Celtics, but, I mean, yeah, you come to the East Coast and you lose 2 going into the All-Star break. Not a good look. So that'll do it. Unless you have any other league-wide notes, there's really nothing else.
No, that's
nothing really major happened this week league-wide. We're gonna get to our favorite segment of the show. Most times, mailbag. You've got mail. So if you want to send us questions, comments, concerns, games to play, we've gotten a bunch of would you rathers, all sorts of that stuff. You can email the show at the360sportshow@gmail.com, or you can send us stuff through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all forms of social media at 360 Sports Show. And yeah, we'll read the questions. Even if if you're listening to this podcast right now, it's the middle of the week, send us an email. We bank them if we don't get to them during the show. So you can send us stuff throughout the week, and we'll read it here on Sunday when we tape. Let me get to questions. We had a couple of questions come in. Jake, a regular contributor to the show, emails us and says, just found this website of QB performances for Pro Football Focus on the Super Bowl. The website ranks all the best performances. And we pulled this up. We looked at it before the show. And we'll read through it quickly here. But my question is based off the is Eli deserving of the Hall of Fame discussion. So I wanted to pose these statistics to reinforce Eli's performances in the Super Bowl compared to other quarterbacks to strengthen the argument for people who say that the defense carried him and that he's not deserving. Also wanted to open the door to discussing other Super Bowl performances because I was surprised that Brady's performances were so much lower on the lists. Thanks, guys. Love to hear what you guys say based on the topic. And so we pulled up this website ranking every Super Bowl performance by a quarterback in the Pro Football Focus era. And immediately scroll to the top to see, well, who's number one? Aaron Rodgers. His lone Super Bowl appearance is the number one quarterback. And I'm just going to read what they wrote. The best Super Bowl performance by a quarterback we have ever seen belongs to Rodgers in his one and only appearance. And it's not even close, says Pro Football Focus. Rodgers had a 94.2 passing grade in his Super Bowl 45 victory over Pittsburgh and gathered up nine big time throws while going without a single turnover worthy play. 5 of those big time throws came on third down where he completed 6 of 11 attempts for 138 yards. 4 of those 5 incompletions were dropped. For perspective on how great this performance was, Rodgers hasn't recorded a higher passing grade in a single game since. No quarterback has come close to as good of a game in this Super Bowl as Aaron Rodgers, and it's hard telling if anyone else will anytime soon. So that was number one, and I decided, okay, let's work our way back. Number 2, and this is why Jake is using this. You use the information that helps your argument. Eli Manning in Super Bowl 45 or 46. I'll read what they write. This whole thing I think is going to be an example, Christian, of why there's lies, there's dirty lies, there's dirty rotten lies, there's no good, awful, dirty, horrible lies, and then there's statistics.
Yep.
And where the numbers, you can start getting just lost in the sauce, lost in the stats. Whether or not Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Fame is another topic of discussion, but he did have the second best Super Bowl performance by a quarterback. Eli had 4 big-time throws. I want to know what what's big time? Is big time just yards and down and distance? Or do you take into the fact that, Eli Manning was throwing against a secondary that was the second to last defense in the league that year, and guys like Antoine Molden and Julian Edelman were playing corner in that game.
Yeah.
And Sterling Moore. That's and Devin McCourty, his first year moving back to safety because he was so putrid at corner. Like, people forget McCourty was a corner when he first came out.
He was good in that first year, though.
Excellent. Nails. And I think he made the Pro Bowl in his rookie season, and then was absolutely just getting picked on at corner. Was basically benched, and they said, well, if you want to continue to have a career, you're going to have to learn how to play safety. That turned out pretty well, but McCourty was not good this year. So anyway, has had the second best performance by the stats. Eli had 4 big-time throws and no turnover-worthy plays for the game, and was near perfect when throwing under pressure. He had 14 pass attempts under duress and had a perfect adjusted completion percentage. Again, this is where you gotta read through the weeds here. Adjusted completion percentage, while averaging 9.3 yards per attempt. Again, against like the worst defense, one of the worst defenses probably ever in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's up there for sure.
Nick Foles is number 3. What's the common denominator here?
He was good in that game, though.
He was great in the game. The defense was non-existent. I just think this is just stats based, and I mean, I guess the argument Jake's going to make is, well, people are holding the interceptions against Eli. The problem is this is the Super Bowl. No one's saying Eli doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because of his playoff performances. It's the rest of it. It's how about we pull up the Pro Football Focus's rankings of the top worst performances of a quarterback. How many times is Eli on that list? Because his Super Bowl, he played well in the Super Bowls. He played great in those playoff runs, but it's the rest of it throwing, like 30 interceptions in like one season.
That's kind of just knocks you back.
And then you really want to delve deep into it. It's like, well, like that 2011 team went up against a terrible defense. So those stats are kind of hollow. Me and you can agree. How many people are going to disagree that Tom Brady against the Seahawks and the Falcons had all-time great performances for quarterbacks? He doesn't even crack the top 10.
Maybe all the way through, though. Because Brady wasn't great in a couple of those games.
Oh, no. Brady does crack the top 10, and it's against the Eagles. But
he was good in that game, yeah. Except for the strips.
Who was better? Tom Brady against the Seahawks or Tom Brady or Eli Manning against the Patriots in 2007?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, the performance against the Seahawks, the Legion of Boom, probably arguably the most dominant defense in this era. 15th best performance. Eli Manning against the undefeated Patriots, 11th.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. You know why, though? Because it was an undefeated season. So that's why he's probably up there.
Yeah. Well, then, I'm sorry. Then you're using 2 different metrics. You either use your eyeballs or you use the cold, hard stats.
Well, here's the thing. Everything is analytical, so there's probably about 400 metrics.
Yeah, I mean, this big-time throws. Do they explain this? Let's see. No, it doesn't. It doesn't give you like a descriptor of like what big-time throw. Big-time throw seems to be their like. Jake, was this designed specifically for Eli Manning? Because if you want to go big-time throws, Eli Manning has a bunch of big-time throws.
Big-time chucks.
But he also has a bunch of big-time
poops.
Poops. I don't know. I mean, I look at the stats. Like, you look at Tom Brady's performance against the Falcons. Putrid first half. Absolutely abysmal. Could not decipher the man coverage that the Falcons were playing. He threw right into the robber coverage on that pick six. Just terrible decision making, terrible reads. The Patriots
with that fumble
played a horrible first half, and then Tom Brady came out and he went above and beyond in that second half and had one of the most epic halves that you'll ever see a quarterback have, in leading one of the greatest comebacks of all time. So you can't just rely on the stats. You got to let your eyeballs tell you something. Eli Manning is going to go to the Hall of Fame for his postseason resume. Even though it's a short one, he has 2 epic runs. Those are his only 2 runs. Every other time he was either
Other than that, he sucked.
One and done, and he was a pretty bad quarterback. From a stats perspective, if we're going to use stats, the stats are not good for Eli.
He was not a regular season quarterback.
No. And granted, towards the end, those later years, there's a lot of personnel issues there, but, and it's the quarterback position is the toughest to judge because when you win, everything's on you. When you lose, everything's on you. You can make the argument, and it's the ultimate team sport, so it's hard to place that much on one guy. But I don't know. I don't think this really changes the argument for me, because we were already just using the Super Bowl before. I'm just surprised at the metrics they use and how everything got ranked in here. I don't know how much weight I'll put into this. Am I surprised that Eli had some of the best performances by these metrics? No, because he had big time games. You don't look at those performances and be like, oh, he really lit it up. Not the case in either of those games.
No, David Tyree made a hell of a catch.
Yeah, plain and simple. So, Jake, thanks for the question. 2 questions from Peter. First, is the XFL worth watching? Yes.
Yeah.
Christian,
I don't know. Like, I'm not as... I was like, it was good last week, but I'm like, I think it's entertaining, but am I going to sit there every week and watch it? Probably not.
It's entertainment. That's what I'm approaching. I'm not trying to get into it to be like, this is going to be my like fix for the NFL. I'm not even approaching it that way. Like, I miss football.
No, me neither. I'm just
it's entertaining.
I'm just not going to sit there and watch it every week. That's all.
These guys are being paid like, a couple tens of thousands, maybe a couple $100,000, and they're out there knocking each other's heads off. I mean, that's
all it is. Yeah, it's for entertainment.
I'm watching it purely for the entertainment fact. I like the rule changes. I think it's fun to watch.
I think I was going to watch the first week more than I will the rest of the season, but I'll still catch it when
I think it's fun. That's what I'm approaching it as. It's like how you approach movies. Do you go to the movies to see Fast and Furious because you want to see like award-winning acting and elegant screenwriting?
No, I want to see cars.
No, you want to see cars. You want to see chicks, and you want to see like explosions. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you go to a movie and do you walk into Pacific Rim because you want to see like just riveting dialogue? No, you want to see giant robots fight giant aliens. Like, it's entertainment. It's just simple pleasure. That's what the XFL is.
Now, if you added aliens to the XFL, now I'm intrigued. I'm watching every week.
I think we would not have broadcast television anymore if aliens were in play.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But it would still be making an entertaining product.
Yeah. Unless it was like the XFL, like the aliens came down and stole like NFL stars. Talent, yeah. And we had the Monstars.
The Monstars, yeah.
That's going to be... Vince McMahon is already working on, instead of a Space Jam, it's a XFL version of Space Jam.
Traveling the galaxy looking for aliens to steal talent. Yeah.
Yeah. So to Peter, I think the XFL is worth watching. Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it to tune in and see if you're entertained. I'm entertained, so I'm going to watch. Am I going to be like, oh my God, I missed the game. I got to DVR the game? No.
Are you going to sit there for like 3 hours straight watching it?
To hang out with my friends? Yeah. I'm not going to sit there and watch it the way I watch a Patriots game or NFL games, like with rapt attention. But I'm going to put it on. Yeah. I'm going to have it on. I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch today.
Yeah.
So, second question, and I'm glad we're getting this question because we've said that the show is not just New England sports. It's all sports, and it doesn't just have to be pro stuff. We welcome any and all questions that have to do with sports. So they can be non-conventional sports questions. We have some friends workshopping. They're workshopping this question about relationships and sports, and if you're with somebody who's not a fan of the team you're a fan of, and the struggles of that. So someday we're going to get that question.
One of these days.
One of these days. We're waiting for it. This workshop question. But this question, so we welcome all sorts of questions. And outside the professional realm, and Pete wants to know, the University of Rhode Island basketball team is 19-6 overall and second place in the Atlantic 10 at 11-2. What do you think their prospects are for the NCAA tournament?
Not great, judging by how they got crapped on by Davidson.
I was going to say the Davidson loss is really bad. Now, obviously, let me pull up. I had their standings somewhere. They are, they're going to be. They're a little bit. I mean, they could still make a run in the A10. Like they could very much still win the A10. That the Dayton loss was just really bad because you started out so poorly. I mean,
what was it, like
17 to
17
nothing?
Yeah, jeez,
not
good.
Not a good way to start. URI basketball is fun, man. I'm glad it's back. I mean, Fats Russell is just a stud. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. He's by 0.2, he's not the leading scorer in the A10. He's averaging 20.2 points. Ryan Daly is averaging 20.4. But Fats has scored more. He scored 505 points. So, Daly, take that. I do think they're going to get. I mean, will they win the A10? I don't know.
They could upset somebody,
but they could definitely. I think they're going to be in play for making the tournament. The way they've expanded the tournament, I mean, all they need to do is you need to be in the top 68, right? Because they have those 4 teams, 64 to 68 that kind of play in to get into the tournament. Just because these guys, they want to have more games so they can make more money. That's what the NCAA wants. But are they in the top 68? I certainly think so. I mean, and I think if they can get in, they can make noise. I think if they don't start as poorly as they did in that other game, they made a comeback in that game. They were competitive. You just can't get down 17 to nothing against good teams.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They could make a run and get in, but I don't see them making a real tournament run or anything. But it would be fun to see them in the tournament.
And they bounced back. I mean, granted, St. Joseph's is like the worst team one of the worst teams, not just in the A10, but like overall, really bad. But you bounce back. I mean, you smoked them. And a little bit of a road stretch here for URI. On the road at Davidson, at Fordham, and hey, they'll get to see Dayton again, and this time it'll be. At the Ryan Center. It'll be at home, March 4th. That's a Wednesday game. Big
Try
game.
to score some points early in the game.
Yeah, don't get down 17-0.
0 is not a good number.
Odds of making the tournament, I'd say still good. I mean, URI has been really good. I mean, that stretch from January to mid-February here was just unreal. I mean, let me count how many went. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They won 10 in a row. And so they're 11-1 in their last 12.
I said Davidson. Yeah, Dayton. That's what I meant.
Yeah. It was Dayton.
Dayton. Not a good performance there, but they
top team in the conference. So I mean, again, it's like, how do you judge that game? By how poorly you started, and then you're just scratching and clawing.
I want to see what happens the second time around. We'll see.
Yeah, second time around in the Ryan Center, right in our backyard. So maybe the 360 Sports Show can. March 4th, as long as you're not stuck at work late and as long as I'm not otherwise engaged broadcasting collegiate sports, maybe we can make it over to URI basketball game. That would actually be quite fun. On location.
On locale.
That could be our first credentialed experience. We try and get in with credentials.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, we're from the 360 Sports Show.
The Dayton Flyers.
We're here to cover URI basketball and this big A10 matchup.
Big A10 matchup.
So yeah, I always pull for URI. I mean, I hope they make the tournament. I always pull for the Rhode Island teams. Them and PC. PC's having the worst year.
I've watched a couple of Friars games, and oh my god,
They had a huge win earlier.
Do they not know you have to score?
But they're struggling.
They have no shooters. Oh my god, it's painful. It's painful to watch. They could have won. I forget who they were playing last weekend, and they just can't. They can't shoot. They had so many chances to open this thing up and get back in it and take a lead, and they just couldn't do it. They can't score for whatever reason. I don't know what it was. That maybe it was just that day, but oh my goodness, they were not good that day, and they just can't score.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like they beat Marquette 81-80. That was a huge win on the road. But then they followed it up.
Xavier, I think is the
They lose
Villanova.
They lose to Butler. Then you beat St. John's, lose to Creighton, lose to Seton Hall, lose to Villanova, beat Butler. Then you come back, you beat Creighton again. You lose to Xavier, lose to St. John's, beat Seton Hall. It's
up and down.
It's up and down. You know, what are you going to get? I mean, 5 games left for PC. Georgetown, Marquette again, Villanova, Xavier, and DePaul. So I'd say if you're going to pick a Rhode Island team to hitch your wagon to, URI, go Rhody Rams. Christian, do you have any other questions, comments, thoughts, concerns?
No, I think we touched on pretty much everything. We'll do a big NHL trade deadline. I want to get into that some more next week. We'll touch on Casario a little more and some MLB stuff.
And I guess we'll just keep recycling the Brady news as it comes, because
Brady Watch Day 65.
There's going to be something different every single week. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you want to send us your questions, email the360sportshow@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at 360 Sports Show. Love the engagement we've been getting, and remember to subscribe and like the show. You can find us on Soundcloud or iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Play, wherever you like to get your podcasts. You can find us. So enjoy the All-Star game tonight. We'll have that to talk about next week as well. And we'll catch you guys next week.
See ya.